Minnesota Timberwolves this year is one of the most interesting teams in the entire NBA. Many red flags, but also many green flags with this team. And obviously, first, I want to start off with some of the red flags for the Timberwolves. Obviously, they traded 4 players, some pretty solid players overall as well, and 5 first-round picks for Rudy Gobert. And look, when you look at the Timberwolves and their starting lineup, the oldest player in the lineup is Rudy Gobert. He's 30 years old, and he's still relatively a great player. He's an all-star level player. And when you look at their roster, they have him, they have Karl-Anthony Towns as the pairings in the paint for the front court. You have Jaden McDaniels, Anthony Edwards, and of course D'Angelo Russell. This team has a lot of potential, and they can be one of the best starting lineups in the entire NBA, even when you look at it from a paper perspective. But the only issue for me personally with this team is that major red flag right there, because simply when you look at it, Karl-Anthony Towns is 26 years old. Anthony Edwards, he's 20 years old. I can't really remember on top of my head at the moment. But when you look at the way things are going, obviously this team is solely relying on Anthony Edwards to grow and develop. I mean, the whole point of this trade, even for Rudy Gobert, wasn't only just to help Karl-Anthony Towns, but also for Anthony Edwards and him taking it to that next level, because he's going to be the team's best player in about the next year or so. Let's be honest, even this year, the breakout year can really happen for him. And because of that, it's going to be many things that's going to change in the future for this team, because Karl-Anthony Towns is getting older, and not only that, but Rudy Gobert is getting even older. And this team is going to have to really think about the decision they make, because they won't have really any draft picks until 2029. That's a very, very long time from now. So they basically traded away all of their assets, some of their key role players, and draft picks for Rudy Gobert. Decided to go all in on the concept of having him on the team, with 2 different skill sets of a big man, with Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. And look, for me personally, that's the biggest red flag coming forward, because when I look at this team in the now, they can be a really good team for the next 2 to 3 years, 4 years. But after that, Rudy Gobert is going to be 34 years old. He's not going to be the same player that he once was. So these next 2-3 years are going to be some of the best years for this franchise. I mean, this team throughout their history has never really truly been consistent in winning anyway. But now this team is going to be one of the best teams ever since the KG era. And when you look at the fits overall on this team, when I look at the potential, it's really great. When I look at a guy like Jaden McDaniels, he's still in a way a raw prospect on the offensive end, but on the defensive end, he's going to be a great player for this Minnesota Timberwolves team. Not only is he going to help them on the defensive side of the basketball, but he's not a bad 3-point shooter either. And at best, if his game doesn't develop offensively, he can still be a very good 3-and-D player. Also, being a young player especially, he's going to have to work on not fouling as much, because last season that was a really big issue for him. I still believe that he's going to play a really vital role this season for the Timberwolves, especially now being a starter. And really, when you look at Karl-Anthony Towns, as I explained earlier about how the addition of Rudy Gobert, who I'm going to talk about in just a little bit, when you look at the addition of him, how that helps out Karl-Anthony Towns, it's going to really help open up Karl-Anthony Towns' game so much, because he wasn't really the greatest center. I mean, he's not the greatest defensive player, especially for a big man like him. And when you look at his skill set, obviously, it's not really built to be a great defender as a big man. The Timberwolves are still a great offensive rebounding team last season with Karl-Anthony Towns, but this year with Rudy Gobert, that's going to go up an even higher level. But because of now the addition of Rudy Gobert with Karl-Anthony Towns isn't going to have to focus so much more on trying to protect the paint as well, because not only does he have help now from just Rudy Gobert, but he also has help from, of course, Jaden McDaniels. And of course, there are going to be many times that players are going to switch on him, quicker guards and players who are going to try to basically outweigh him. But he's going to have so much more help, and it's going to be a lot better for him, because that was, a main issue for him. Karl-Anthony Towns is going to have probably one of the best seasons of his NBA career next year, simply because of the addition of Rudy Gobert. I wouldn't be surprised if he's one of the best scorers on this team next year, because of the work he has to do. He's not gonna be guarding the opponent's best team every night like how Gobert will be, or Jaden McDaniel will be. So much attention will still be on him, but at the same time, it's going, because of them and their efforts, it's going to be so much more easier for his game to just flourish in that system. Also talking about the defensive side of the basketball court, obviously I haven't talked nothing about D'Angelo Russell, but D'Angelo Russell, while he's not the greatest physical defender, he can still, his IQ is what helps him really flourish in that system. Even last year for the Timberwolves, he's out here, he can call plays when he sees them, and he's basically giving everybody the awareness of what they need to defend that play. And the Timberwolves last year, they were a pretty solid overall defensive team. They were a great defensive team, but this year, obviously it's going to be taking it to a new level. I think offensively wise, the Timberwolves are still going to be a great team, and as y'all know, I think with the additions of Gobert now in their system, he's going to be a great pick and roll player. Obviously he's going to be a lob threat especially, and he's just going to do the things that he basically did in Utah for the Timberwolves. Look at Karl-Anthony Towns. As I said before, his offensive game, I believe this year, will flourish in this system. I think him and Anthony Edwards, of course, their games are going to really flourish with the talent that they have on this team. But not only that, but for Karl-Anthony Towns, he's also a great playmaker. And that's going to definitely be a key contributor this year as well for the Timberwolves team. Well, and of course, Anthony Edwards. We know that he is the team's best player for the future. He's going to be the guy that this team is basically relying on to really take them to the promised land, basically. And really, I don't know if that will truly ever happen. I hate to say it like that, but I still believe that Anthony Edwards is going to have a really great year next year. I mean, he's only getting better as the seasons progress, and this year I believe is going to be a very, very good year. He may make his first All-Star appearance this season for the Timberwolves. D'Angelo Russell, of course, is still going to be a great facilitator, a great shooter. He's probably going to average maybe around 17, 18 points a game. He's going to be the team's third option, of course. I still think that, for me, a possibility that he may eventually get traded from the Timberwolves at some time soon, because they don't even want to extend his contract anyway, but that's another topic for another time. But also, of course, Jaden McDaniels, like I said earlier, he's still a project player for this team. He's a raw prospect on the offensive end, even though in the past he was a great offensive player in high school and stuff. But in the NBA, of course, it's just a different game, a different animal, and he's still got a lot of room for growth and development on that end. But this Timberwolves team, their starting five on paper is really good. Even their bench is overall really good. I think Kyle Anderson's going to definitely be a pretty good piece, especially as a power forward, come off the bench, give you some really good production for them, as he did for the Memphis Grizzlies. Naz Reid is definitely going to be another great addition. Another player to really look for next season, especially, I believe, is Jordan McLaughlin. I think he's going to be a really, really good player for the Timberwolves. He can pretty much do about everything on the basketball court, even though he is undersized for his position at the point guard position at 5'11". He's a great offensive player and great defensive player. He's an all-around player for the Timberwolves, and he's going to be a good piece on their team, and alongside as well with Jalen Noel. He's going to be taking on a much bigger role now that Malik Beasley especially is gone. And he's a really great scorer overall on this Timberwolves team, and he's definitely going to be a big contributor for them. Overall, their bench is really good as well for the Timberwolves team. There's a lot of underrated players that many people don't talk about like that, of course, as a casual NBA fan, for many people who they might be. But overall, I mean, the Timberwolves should still be very excited for the growth of the Timberwolves now. They're going to be a legit team in the Western Conference. It's not like they're going to be a championship level team that all plays a role in how good Anthony Edwards will be, but also from many years of inconsistency from them. And now, with the position they are now, it's really good to see that the Timberwolves, for once, are actually a solid NBA team and really one of the best teams ever since, of course, making it into the Western Conference Finals back when they had Kevin Garnett back then, which was a very long time ago. Even when you look at their head coach, Chris Finch, he's another really good, valuable asset for this team because he's kind of the person who changed the system for the Timberwolves and really made them a better team and overall organization. And just everybody bought into what he was doing for them, and look what has happened now for them. They are pretty successful. They came off last year, pretty successful season this year, and I projected this year that they may win or just around 50 games this year and possibly make it to the second round of the playoffs at best. But really this year is more so on focusing on the fit of the players that they do have on their team, and to really trying to compete more for next season, because I believe the season after, they're going to be a really, really good team. Once they have that chemistry and everybody kind of knows their role on the team, that's when we're going to really see the best version of the Timberwolves. But until then, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos each and every single week. Have a good day. Peace.